Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bedomy and this is Code Vein. Anime-esque Dark Souls with vampires. Basically, it's the fastest way to actually explain it to you. It's another game from Bandai Namco, or yeah, it's Bandai Namco now. I don't know. I'm used to calling them Namco Bandai, but excuse me. I'm personally used to calling them Namco Bandai for all these years, so I know that they changed the name to Bandai Namco now, but I'll keep varying between those two names for a while because why the hell not? It's funnier to confuse you people. So anyway, as I was saying, this is a Dark Souls-esque take on the Dark Souls formula. Only this time you're using vampires and anime as an aesthetic, basically. The gameplay is more or less the same as in any Dark Souls title. But if we compare this to Dark Souls, at least on the PC, this game is superior, honestly. Just look at this. Good. It's a good port, honestly. I don't know what to say. The mouse is working properly. The frame rate is spot on. I have a good resolution. The visuals are not broken or just have terrible anti-aliasing. I do not feel my eyes bleeding when I'm actually playing this. That's what I'm trying to say. Well, you'll see it when we get into the gameplay, but we're currently looking at the settings themselves. As you can see, we can adjust the auto switch for our targets, which will basically switch our targeting priorities when we focus on a target. We can turn off cinematic effects for some special attacks, which you will hopefully see in the gameplay section itself. You can see the damage values there's nothing or about it. You can see the damage values you will take from your enemies and the damage you take from yourself when you're getting hit. It is possible to play with a controller. I would recommend that you play this with a mouse and keyboard. The game is really nicely ported, so you don't have to worry about some input lag or somewhat confusing input orders. I mean, there are some minor things that I'll complain about, but for all things considered, when they ported this to the PC, they really thought of the consumer that would play with a mouse and keyboard. Hopefully I bored you enough with the basic gameplay settings, and hopefully you read most of them. Control schematics are, as you can see, nicely implemented. Every action has a separate key. That's always a plus in my books. Unfortunately, there is no jump button. There's just a dodge button. So if you're planning on jumping over chasms or over hatchet or over holes, forget it, you'll just fall down and die. And also, if you're wondering why there are small dots on the ends of some buttons, that's to indicate which side of the keyboard you're supposed to use. For example, this dot indicates that I should use the left shift in order to run or guard in case of the alt key. You can also rebind most of these keys to your personal preference, but I like the default setting as it is. As you can see, you have quite a number of spells to use. But you can always, if you're not sure which button to press, you can always press right shift and see which spell is bound to a specific key. And I do apologize, but it's been a while since I did this. We had some I had some trouble at home, so I didn't have enough time to make videos. And while I did write some stuff for the video, it is quite challenging to actually read and talk simultaneously. But anyway, as you can see, you have 3 separate sections where you can see which button does what. There's a dedicated spell button mapping, photo mode button mapping, where you can actually adjust the camera and some other filters you would like to use for screenshots. While I personally don't use them often, if you're interested in using them, all the power to you. Anyway, let's not mess around with the control schemes too much. Let's take a look at the camera options. As you can see, you can invert the control scheme for horizontal or vertical when you're up. Basically, if you want to change your camera angle and you want to invert it for some reason, you can turn it on or off. You can adjust the sensitivity, and you can also enable auto-dodge obstacles, which basically means the camera will switch angle in order to avoid colliding with something in the foreground. And this is something I really have to give credit where credit is due. Every section of the graphic options has a separate menu. The brightness levels can be adjusted separately from the resolution or frame rates, and you can even set a frame rate cap. So a very nicely ported game for all intents and purposes. As you can see, I'm playing this on highest possible quality, even on advanced settings as well as the basic ones. VSync on or off. Well, I'm keeping this off for now because I'm not sure if this is because of my own, if this is a bug with my PC or the game in general, but every time I try to turn VSync on or off, the game just crashes. So try experimenting with the settings on your own accord, but be warned, VSync will crash the game if you try turning it on. Granted, I think that might be the case that might be just the problem with too many settings. If you change too many settings, the game will automatically get overloaded or something, and that will crash it as well. But for me, the only problem I had so far was when I tried to turn on VSync. Everything else you can adjust your own personal preference. As you can see, I'm playing this on full screen with the highest possible resolution for myself. Every post-processing, anti-aliasing, shadow, texture quality, everything is turned up to the maximum. And the same goes for the more advanced settings. Granted, I am kind of curious why aren't anti-aliasing, post-processing, and the rest of these quality settings in the basic settings when, well, actually they are pretty basic stuff you kind of want to adjust whenever you can, to be honest. But all things considered, this is a pretty decent graphic settings option. Well, a lot of options. You're given a lot of options. Sound settings, beautiful. You have separate sliders for everything. You have a master stereo. Well, you have a... No, wait, that's... You have a choice between stereo and surround, and I'm messing around with them a bit. But let's keep it on stereo. Let's keep it on stereo for now. We can adjust the volumes of everything to all. You can adjust the volume of everything separately. Voice, music, sound effects. Crank them up to the max. I really have to recommend that you crank everything up. The music is beautiful to listen to. The sound effects really immerse you in when you're in combat, because a weapon really, well, melee weapons really sound like actual melee weapons. And the voice acting is, well, if you play the game with with anime aesthetics, you know what to expect. It is a quality dub, but the lip syncing is going to be a bit iffy, if you ask me. But that's just your own that's your own personal preference. Let's keep it at that. And network settings, you can adjust if you want to play with people online. You can adjust the network settings so you can create your own personal server or set up some restrictions for server search. But personally, I don't play online. These types of games, I really hate playing them online, so I really don't baffle with them too much. And I play this game in offline mode, so it is pretty peaceful. It is stressful when you're playing it, if you're not used to the Dark Souls gameplay. But as you're playing, you actually learn to not think like an average hack and slash player, but more of a tactical hack and slash player, if that makes sense. Well, we'll discuss this when we come to that. Analytical options are basically, it's more of a license than anything. Do you agree to allow Bandai Namco to collect information from your gameplay so that they can improve functions and features, as you can see here? Bollocks. Personally, I would recommend you turn this off, but last time I tried, when I first started playing the game, it wouldn't let me play the game wouldn't allow me to play if I didn't accept these analytical options. So accept it and just turn off after your first playthrough, I think. Or not first playthrough, just accept the agreement and just turn it off afterwards. I really don't like when companies dabble too much in your personal privacy. Just look at Overwatch, for example, and okay, we're getting sidetracked. Language settings, you can adjust your keyboard, turn on subtitles and gameplay subtitles as well. Choose the preferred language, and also choose which type of confirm cancel structure of commands would you like to use. This basically means if you're using a controller, it will tell you between type A or type B, which is, as you can see here, confirm with A, cancel with B, or type B, which is confirm with B and cancel with A. But in this case, I'm using a keyboard and mouse, and my default key bindings are X and E. So that about covers everything in the settings menu. Just to warn you, there is a dedicated store page on Steam that leads you to a Steam storefront where you can buy some DLC packages such as cosmetics and... Actually, I don't remember if there were any additional gameplay DLC packs. I think there were just some cosmetics, if I'm not mistaken. It has been a while since I got this game, honestly. But now that I actually have a PC that can run it, I am enjoying myself. So anyway, this is Code Vein, or Dark Souls with anime and vampires. Well, to be fair, they're not technically vampires, they're called revenants, and they don't hunt humans, they're hunting blood beans, which are blood-filled fruits, basically. Honestly, it's an interesting storyline, for all things considered.
Let's get going.
As you can see, there is a post-apocalyptic dystopians. I'm not sure what to call it. Well, it is an aesthetic style that shows you that the world is, pardon the expression, boned. And the fact that you're playing with vampires would indicate that something really bad happened, that if vampires are the dominant species on Earth. But granted, I do enjoy the graphical quality the game presents to you. I mean, just look at this character. The light shines and it will adjust itself as you're moving. Unfortunately, when your idiotic teammate decides to rest his shoulder on the ground, the blade just passes through you, so that kind of ruins the idea. But graphically speaking, I do love the aesthetic and the whole visual style of lights and shadows. As you can see, okay, let me find a bit more of a bigger shadow here, but as you can see, as I'm... Oh, go away, Yakumo! Excuse me for a second. Okay, let's do this. While we're here, let's just discuss one of the newer additions to the Dark Souls formula that Bandai Namco introduced. In this case, you have a partner system. You can actually play with an AI teammate. But more or less, the game follows the same mechanics and principles of Dark Souls. You have a you have a stamina bar which depletes as you're running and fighting, and it replenishes as you're walking around or defending, depending on what you're doing. You have a health bar which, while these numbers indicate it's a big health pool, it's really not that amazing. It just means you're capable of taking an extra hit or two. And in true Dark Souls fashion, you are required to actually consider what you're bringing to the table when you're going into a fight. Are the items you're storing in your quick item slot in your belt? For now, let's just call it belt. Are the items in your inventory belt something you wish to use? Actually, let's switch them up a bit. Are the 8 items you can actually access to appropriate for the situation you're about to enter in? Are the weapons you're using capable of slaying the monsters you're about to encounter? For example, as you can see, I have quite a mesh of enemies here. Oh, there's another one. And as you can see, one of these guys can use a gun. But no worries, so can I. Granted, I am rubbish with it, and there's 2 of them now, so I should probably switch to something else. Okay, let's go to a sword. Die, both of you. Thank you. As you just saw, my stamina bar depleted as I swung my sword and dodged their attacks. I can focus or lock onto an enemy in order to kill him. And I can also, damn it, I can also parry if I time my attacks correctly. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. There's something big coming. Oh my god! She's big, she's so big. Anyways, I was saying, oh boy. As I was saying, you have to manage your inventory and your attacks in order to maximize your damage output and survivability in a situation. For example, as you can see, I'm currently handling a very, very big opponent, and my stamina bar is depleting. quickly, and it's out. Thankfully, I did manage to slay the enemy with the clever usage of spells and attacks. Granted, if I was a little better at this, I would probably time my parrying movement a bit better and then slay the giant. Let's see, maybe I can do this. Nope. Mess it up again. Oh, bollocks. Okay, let's see if we can do this again. Yes, I did it! And that was the special attack that didn't go into a cinematic. But thankfully I did manage to perform a successful parry. But as I was saying, as you saw, the game really focuses on very small and not endangering, but small and compact combat. You're placed in a small, let's be honest, this is not a small area, but every section you walk into is a potential battleground. And you're usually not overwhelmed by enemies like in Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. You just have to deal with three or four enemies in total. But you really have to consider where you're moving, otherwise you will trigger other enemies that will attack you as well. And then you might get overwhelmed and then you're kinda dead. Thankfully, death is a part of this, a very big part of this game, and it usually encourages you to improve and consider and get better at it. I would demonstrate what I mean by that, but I'd have to die, and I already did that at a boss fight, so I really wish to avoid it, because once you pass on, you lose the souls you collected, and those are necessary if you're interested in actually leveling up your character or purchasing items from the store. As you can see, this is a boss I have to fight, and I'm not that keen on going against her just yet. And as you can see, the red dot on the map indicates the place where I died and where I can go and retrieve my souls. Or actually, I know it's not souls in this case. It's called something else, but I'll tell you what, it's force of habit. I'm just gonna call it souls for the remainder of the video. Anyway, if you're familiar with Dark Souls, you already know how the game works in general. When you find a location called a missile or a bonfire, you will rest at it, and that will replenish your consumables, health, and also restore the enemies you've slain up to this point. But thankfully, the area, not the area, but the missile will let you exchange items you have in your inventory with the items you have stored in your hub world. It will allow you to level up the character, change up your loadout of spells, and also allow you to exchange partners, basically. As the game progresses, you will actually collect new heroes, and they are heroes mostly, and your friends and story-wise. Granted, the storyline is a little bit less complex than your average Dark Souls story. It has a lot of anime-esque, not anime, traditional animes, cutscenes, but they do use the CGI renderings of your characters in cutscenes. Unfortunately, your character will never talk, as it's standard in most JRPGs, and the majority of the story will usually revolve around the group of characters, not your. And your character is just a passive observer, who usually does all the heavy lifting, but all the credit usually goes to someone else. The usual stuff. Anyway, let's go and enjoy one of the staples of the Dark Souls games, that is boss fights. As you can see, while I'll try to quickly collect my souls back and try to survive. Oh my god, that was close. Okay. Ooh. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's try to wait. What the hell am I using Poison Blade against the... Oh, no. Against a poison creature. Thankfully I can use various attacks in order to survive the situation. Damn it! But as you can see, if I'm not careful, I get hit by different degree of attacks, and it can usually cause a bigger problem for me rather than... Oh, bollocks! Okay, try to injure her. And also, as you can probably see, every boss fight usually has a pattern to it.
Stay focused.
Wait, as you can see, the Butterfly of Delirium is... damn it! No, go away, go! Okay, let's see, Venom? Damn it! Let's see, there's a vaccine. Vaccine help. Oh no! Okay, excuse me. I'm trying to survive for as long as possible. Yes! Okay, that's... Okay, let's try to say this in a calm and collected manner for now. As you saw, I just fought a boss character, which is a very difficult monster to slay. They usually have a pattern of attacks that they vary between fights, but their health and damage output is rather high compared to your average monster. While on average, basic monster will take you down in 5 or 7 hits, a boss character can usually kill you in a span of 3 or 2 attacks. So so it's usually recommended that you use your partner in order to see what the enemy's attack patterns are like, and just to look for some tells just to search for possible tells your opponent will give when they're about to attack you. But as you already saw, if you're up close to them, those tells are kind of hard to see, which is unfortunate. But usually they do have a pretty nice. They usually have a pretty nice music or a musical theme that actually follows them. And granted, most of these attacks usually have a sound cue if the camera is not on your side. But yes, as you saw, bosses are kind of a staple of Dark Souls. Well, the whole genre, basically. The difficulty is always there. No matter how high a level you are, the enemies will always will scale up to your level, no matter the situation you're in. And unfortunately, I do not have enough souls to level up my character. But I think that's a good thing, all things considered. Because, let's be honest, if I was a level 1 and still visited, and I was still in this area, I'd more or less be fighting for my life. I'd have to fight for my life yet again. So if you think that the game is easier because your level is maxed out, think again. You really have to consider your position, your opponent's composition, and who to prioritize when it comes to attacks. As you saw, this could have gone very badly for my character.
Take whatever you can use.
Thankfully, your AI partners are usually pretty aggressive and will take most of the damage for you. And if you fall in combat, they can use a resurrection spell, which will share some of their health with you. But don't rely on it too much. Like you, they can be slain rather quickly. Anyway, this is an optional dungeon that I'm just visiting, but as you can see, aesthetically speaking, it's a very nicely designed and atmospheric area. The human world has fallen, and some weird crystal-like formations and the forest and the nature itself are taking over the area, which is rather beautiful to see, actually. I always like this in post-apocalyptic stories, where you can see a combination of the world and some demonic or mystical infestation as intertwined with nature and the buildings of the old world. It gives a bit of a world building to the world without saying too much. And I mean, just look at the enemy design. Most of these enemies look like they were captured by the descendants of Dr. Frankenstein and just experimented upon out of sheer boredom or the desire to create something that's far worse than, I don't know, a monster that humanity was fighting. That's just on top of my head. The weapons we're using also, they have a very interesting design to them. I mean, just look at these. Let's try to find a better angle. Yeah, just look at these weapons. They look like two different machetes were well, not glued, but were attached together to a potato masher, if I'm not mistaken. A very heavily destroyed potato masher, and then enlarged just for the sake of looking menacing and cool. And thankfully, you can upgrade most of these weapons. Oh, damn it! You can upgrade most of these weapons. Damn it! To increase their damage output or upgrade them with special abilities, such as my bayonet, for example. It's called Bayonet Devour, which
sure your gear is good.
Which actually allows me to. It gives me a bit of a bonus for a specific. Excuse for a second. It has a bonus to a specific type of attack. For example, it's better at. Surprisingly, it's better at. It's a better weapon for melee combat, and it actually drains the enemy's life force and gives it to you. Well, not in form of health, but in form of magical energy, which can be used to cast spells. And if you're careful with, and if you're smart about it, you could actually drain your opponents mid-combat, which will give you extra magical energy. So let's see if I can injure the boss. Oh, crap. No. I'm out of My stamina's down. Oh, okay, this could be bad. Okay, let's see if I can do something. So let's try to... Damn it! Use the... Of a bloody...
Hey.
Yakumo, you bloody moron! Yeah, excuse me. As you saw, I can use the parry or my gauntlet attack in order to damage my opponents hit my opponents for heavy damage and also drain their life force, which can heal me a bit if I'm not mistaken, and it will also give me extra magic points for the duration of the run. And
Don't run too far ahead.
at least until I visit the missile, and then it resets to your original, well, in this case, the original 20 mana points, and it will reset the monsters. And speaking of mana points, you can actually change the amount of mana points in your preferred gameplay style, as you can see in an Acquire and Inherits Gift section. As you meet other characters, you will unlock additional classes, let's call them for now. Each class has a specific orientation towards combat. For example, I'm currently oriented towards the Hermes class, which is it's a decent mixture of offensive buffs and attack spells. And it also has a very decent mana pool, which for my gameplay style, this is actually pretty solid. But and every teammate you have actually has a specific class he or she can use. And well, honestly, I think that's... Give me a second, I'm trying to remember if there's anything else of interest that I should mention. Well, there is the home base where you can chat with your NPC friends, exchange a few items you found in the world of the game, and get a few bonuses or discounts depending on the character. Upgrade your equipment, and also buy and sell new or old equipment for additional souls. And also you can... Whoa, what was that? A biker is showing off apparently. And whoa, that's actually a sweet wheelie. Anyway, as I was saying, you can also mess around with the radio, and play music you found. Play the music tapes you found in the world. You can talk to Davis in order to visit optional dungeons. One of them, and the optional dungeon was the area we were just in.
Your life is your greatest asset.
And as the game progresses, you can unlock new story bits about the characters, as well as some new items. Unfortunately, I think I don't have any items I can exchange it. Ooh, actually, I can. Okay, just to let you know, I think this character really doesn't like these dolls, so I'm not gonna give this to her. But keep it in mind, every character has a preference for specific items, and depending on the item you give them, their affection towards you will grow, and so will the discount. And some of these characters might even give you some side quests if their fondness for you is big enough. And you can usually view most of these quests and side quests on this board here. You can change the music, talk to everyone, and basically spend some quality time with your party. But most of the time you will spend in the game world just exploring, fighting monsters, and acquiring souls in order to get to the next level. Honestly, I would tell you more, but I really don't want to ruin the story for you. It's not as I said, it's not as Dark Souls level of it's not as complex in the terms of Dark Souls, but it is a very nice story you can enjoy at your own pace. And while we're here, just enjoy the view of the world we're in. The human race is all but gone. There are some survivors. For example, there's this girl here.
Thank you. You really saved me.
And also, I just like it how the lighting plays off of character models and. Sorry, I need to find a good shadow area. And, well, not just the character models, but the general models of the world. And as I said, graphically speaking, this game is, as you can see for yourself, rather beautiful in my opinion. Yes, I know it's not dark fantasy as in Dark Souls, but it still has its own unique style to it. And also, as you can see, there's quite a level of customization here. Nope. Oh, come on, how do I get out of here? Ah, there we go. As you saw, you can customize your character to quite a decent degree, if I do say so myself, and you can even find other customizable items that you can add to your attire as the game progresses. Anyway, this is Code Vein. If you played Dark Souls before, it's nothing new, but it's a good entry for those of you who are interested in giving Dark Souls franchise or Dark Souls-like games a try. It still has the challenging combat of the series that we all know and love. Well, yeah. Honestly, it's a good entry. It has a decent level of complexity to every level you visit. The boss fights in general fights are challenging, and you can never actually regret entering the set fights. If you die, it's your own fault. It's not the combat isn't as complex as you would think, but it is complex enough that you really need to learn everything. Let's try this again. The combat is simple to learn, but hard to master. As you already saw in the dungeon that I was visiting, if you don't know how to parry or dodge properly, you'll get killed rather quickly. But if you master the art of parrying, the art of dodging, and stamina management, you will be, well, not a god, but you will be more than adequate in the world of Code Vein. You will survive, you'll get stronger, and you will unlock different additional stories. Let's see honestly, that's about everything I want to say about this game for now. Thank you all very much for watching. My name has been Bedomy, and if you feel like I missed something, feel free to let me know in the comments, or if you know something that I missed, just let me know in general. Thank you all very much for watching. My name has been Bedomy, and good night.